Hi, class. Hope everybody had a great weekend and a great week. We're now going into week 4 of this course. So the first 3 weeks have gone by pretty quickly. We've covered a lot of material, and all of you have done really well in understanding the concepts and the theories that you've learned in these first 3 weeks. And in week 4, we are now going to jump into some deeper waters with two very big parts of organizational communication, and that is leadership and organizational conflict. You already know what these two things are. You've been a part of leadership. You've worked under leaders. And of course, based on some of the stories I've read with your discussions, you've been part of organizational conflict. So whether you work in a movie theater, healthcare organization, or the NBA, you're experiencing in these things. And while you've been part of these types of situations, we're now looking at some theory, and there's a lot of theory around leadership and organizational conflict. And by the way, if you Google leadership, the word leadership, you're going to get 4.5 billion opportunities to find out what that means. So that's how big it is, and you can't cover that in 1,000 lifetimes. But in terms of the text, chapters 7 and chapters 9, you'll be able to use that information to complete your assignment and also to engage in the discussion questions, okay? Also, if you're having trouble finding a leader to interview, let me know, but be creative. You can interview, obviously, somebody at your work. You can interview one of your friends who's a leader, somebody in your church, somebody at school, or I would say even your parents or your grandparents, because they're leaders in one respect, and that is they have to raise a family, and that's a huge job and requires leadership as well. So let me know if you have any problems with that. Many people ask me, what do I think leadership is? And my response is usually this: I know it when I see it. And what does that mean? It sounds kind of simplistic. Well, it means this. I've been in organizations and where we were very successful. There were a lot of challenges, but we were very successful, and the leadership was able to help us rise above situations, so we were able to minimize the conflict and be able to meet our goals. That doesn't happen all the time, but when I take a look at those experiences in my life and reverse engineer the leadership, there are certain qualities I see come out regularly: honesty, integrity, transparency, communications, those things. So you'll see that in the text, and you can certainly use that for your assignments, as I said. The other thing I would suggest, take a look at external sources around leadership, maybe another book, some articles, things like that. So go ahead and use the library. See if you can find something that is appropriate. I'm going to share with you just a couple of books I have looked at over my career and gone back to time and time again because I think they really represent leadership. One of them is here, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. You might have heard about this one before, but very popular book on leadership. This one is very well known, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. A whole industry is formed on this, and it's kind of a go-to book. The things he talks about in this book are things that are still appropriate today. I also look at other types of books when trying to identify leadership. This is called The Last Stand, and it's about General George Armstrong and Sitting Bull. And you know the story of Custer and how he met his fate at the Little Bighorn. In terms of leadership, Custer was a admired leader, fearless. His men followed him. They trusted him, but he was highly reckless. And this is one of the reasons why he ended up on the wrong side of that battle of Little Bighorn. When you look at Sitting Bull, very controlled, very strategic, very thoughtful leader, and he was trying to maintain the peace, but it all kind of fell apart because of how leadership within organizations clashed. And so these are examples as well. So I will tell you to look around, see if you can find some other examples of leadership that you might want to talk about or apply in your papers and discussion, and that would be great. That's it for now. Oh, and by the way, make sure and carefully read the instructions for all the assignments for week 4. There's a lot of things you have to do. Remember APA. Read the rubrics as well. Some people got tripped up on that last week, but make sure you follow the guidelines, and you'll be just fine. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be talking to you during the week. Thanks.